Morning light drifts over a quiet grass field as a Ukrainian Recon drone picks up unexpected movement below. A lone Russian soldier is making his way across open terrain with no support in sight. Unaware that every step is already being tracked, the coordinates are sent to an FPV unit that begins a steady approach. When the rising buzz reaches him, he lifts a small weapon hoping to drive the drone off, but the operator keeps control, shifts position, and moves in to neutralize the threat before he can break away. The scene unfolds in a quiet forest just after a drone strike has faded into drifting smoke. A lone Russian soldier emerges from the haze, overwhelmed and isolated, as he reaches for a grenade that slips from his hand and drops beside him. The Ukrainian drone above holds position, tracking every movement while operators confirm the unfolding risk. His final choice becomes a reminder of how pressure reshapes battlefield decisions. Across a stretch of open ground, a Ukrainian drone picks up a Russian soldier moving cautiously toward a cluster of tall grass. He stops there for a moment, scanning the area as if unsure whether he is completing a task or simply recovering after being separated from his unit during a failed push. When the rising buzz echoes across the field, he drops into a firing stance and tries to engage the approaching FPV with a light weapon. The attempt falls short, and the drone continues forward, closing in to neutralize the threat. During a routine morning patrol over an empty field near the front line, a Ukrainian FPV drone moves through the area to check the aftermath of a recent clash. As the drone scans the terrain, it identifies a lone Russian soldier, walking without any weapon or visible gear. His pace is slow and deliberate, shaped by age and fatigue. With a heavy mustache and glasses suggesting long service, the drone maintains distance, confirms the target, and gradually closes in, ultimately neutralizing the threat before he can move out of sight. The scene takes shape over an open field cut by a narrow drainage ditch, where a Ukrainian FPV drone scans a small Russian group moving along the bank. Recon operators relay the coordinates, and a second FPV begins a controlled approach, holding its line until the soldiers notice the sound and try to break away across the empty ground. The drone keeps its angle, closes the gap, and neutralizes the group before they can reach cover. The engagement shows how rapid targeting can deny advancing forces even the smallest terrain advantage. A dusty service road cuts through the front line where several abandoned trucks sit silent after earlier fighting. A Ukrainian FPV drone moves along the route and spots a Russian soldier lying in the narrow shade of a damaged vehicle. His breathing is heavy and his movements slow, shaped by exhaustion and confusion as he tries to steady himself. The drone confirms the target, adjusts its path, and advances, ultimately neutralizing the threat before he can rise from cover. A Ukrainian Recon drone moves along a shallow stream bed near the front line when it spots a Russian soldier wading through the water with slow, heavy steps. His posture shows fatigue, and his focus is fixed on the ground ahead, unaware that his location has already been marked and passed to an incoming FPV unit. The sound of the drone reaches him only when it is close, and he hesitates as he tries to push toward the bank for cover. Slowed by the current and the weight of each step, the FPV closes the distance with controlled precision, holds the angle for confirmation, and then moves in to neutralize the threat before he can break from the water. The footage highlights how mobility limits in difficult terrain give drones a decisive advantage in pursuit. In the Zaporizhia direction, Ukrainian Special Operations units from the Active Actions Department of the GUR push through scattered tree lines and ruined firing positions, tracking Russian movements with coordinated ground teams and drone support. Recon feeds highlight enemy operators, trench groups, and equipment hubs that have been active throughout the morning. Each location is confirmed, mapped and assigned to a small assault element or an FPV team waiting for the right moment. The footage captures deliberate advances, precise engagements, and the steady dismantling of Russian positions as the unit clears dugouts, and disrupts drone crews working behind the line. By the end of the operation, the sector shows the impact of careful planning and fast execution. The mission demonstrates how coordinated recon and SOF actions can collapse enemy control across an entire microsector. The scene opens on open terrain monitored by the 7th Airmobile Brigade Rubaka, as their drones track a Russian assault group moving toward friendly lines. Recon feeds confirm the approach, and operators release small munition drops to break the formation before sending FPVs to finish the disruption. Each strike is measured and controlled, stopping the attack long before it can threaten the forward positions. The engagement highlights how layered drone tactics can halt advancing units before contact is made. In the Pokrovsk direction, a reconnaissance FPV drone detected a lone Russian soldier moving through a line of trees. A heavy backpack hung on his shoulders, its purpose unknown. As he traveled alone across the quiet terrain, after a long walk, he stopped beside a disabled tank and leaned against it to rest. Moments later, an FPV drone was dispatched, approaching silently. The soldier noticed nothing unusual until the final moment, when the drone made contact and neutralized him instantly. Helmet camera footage aimed toward the outskirts of Lyman captures a tense close-quarters fight unfolding inside a forest trench network. A Ukrainian special operations team moves through the dense canopy with steady discipline, pushing deeper into a system of positions once held by Russian forces. The moment they step inside the trenches, the silence breaks with short bursts echoing through the trees. The space is narrow and every second matters as the unit clears corners, checks blind angles, and trades fire in tight gaps where visibility is limited and movement is restricted. The footage shows muzzle flashes cutting through the dark soil walls while the team advances from section to section with deliberate coordination. Some Russian troops fall back into deeper trenches, but the retreat buys them little time. The Ukrainian team keeps moving, securing each junction, calling out positions, and pressing forward with controlled pace. When the shooting finally fades, the trench line is back in Ukrainian hands, a reminder that this fight is carried by the soldiers on the ground. On the eastern outskirts of Mirnohrad, drone operators from Ukraine's 38th Chernonary Ukraine's 3rd Separate Marine Brigade conducted a targeted strike operation against a column of Russian armored vehicles transporting landing forces. The vehicles had likely been preparing for a forward assault, but their movement was detected early through aerial reconnaissance. FPV drones were launched in rapid succession, each strike timed to maximize damage before dismount. Multiple vehicles were destroyed, and with them, the troops inside. The coordinated attack neutralized the landing force before it could engage, effectively stalling Russian momentum in the area. This engagement highlights how unmanned systems now play a decisive role in shaping frontline outcomes long before infantry contact occurs. In the center of an open field, a lone Russian soldier stood motionless as a Ukrainian FPV drone accelerated directly toward him. There was no attempt to run, no sudden movement, just silence and stillness. Not far away, inside an abandoned factory, 2 more soldiers reacted the same way when another drone approached. They froze, as if hoping not to be seen. Recent footage continues to reveal this pattern. Soldiers, when spotted, increasingly choose to remain completely still, believing it may confuse or delay the strike. But in most cases, the drone stays locked in. Precision doesn't rely on motion. Stillness, once a survival instinct, now signals surrender to technology in modern warfare. Stillness is no longer a tactic. It is a response to being watched.